Welcome to Living the Smarter Science of Slim, where we provide a scientifically proven lifestyle for long-term health and fat loss by eating more and exercising less, but smarter.
Eat smarter, exercise smarter, live better. I am so ready for that.
Welcome to Living the Smarter Science of Slim. This is Jonathan Bailor here with Carrie Brown in studio in Seattle. Carrie, how are you doing today?
I am doing just awesome. Very glad to be here.
Just awesome. And today, Carrie, we're going to pick up where we left off. Last time we talked about Setpoint Weight, fat metabolism system. And today, let's dig into how to lower our Setpoint weight.
I'm very ready to talk about how to lower my Setpoint weight.
So before we get into the actual science of lowering the Setpoint weight, two important things are to note. One is we can lower our Setpoint weight. Dr. Kesey at the University of Wisconsin tells us that set points are not fixed. We can absolutely make our body automatically regulate us around a slimmer body composition, like today it may be regulating us around a heavier body composition. It's not a theory, it's a fact.
Well, I know that for sure because I have lowered my set point about 10 pounds.
I love it. I love it. And in fact, I get pretty excited by the prospect of lowering our set point because Dr. Woods, I think, puts it pretty well here at the University of Cincinnati. Actually, let me preface his quote here. It's easy to think of the set point as actually kind of bad news, right? We talk about, well, eating less and exercising more doesn't work because our body will always fight to keep us within a specific range. It's like, well, are we kind of screwed then because we can't do anything about it? But imagine if we could harness that power to have our body automatically keep us around a slimmer range. So Dr. Woolley puts it like this. The existence of a precise regulation of body fat is often interpreted as inferring that attempts at controlling body fat are futile. Quite the contrary. The existence of a negative feedback control system implies that the system is susceptible to external influences and that advantage might be made of the rigor of the system. Not exactly the clearest articulation of the point, but a good point nonetheless.
Well, I gotta say that for probably 4 years, I felt like I was screwed. That my set point was, it didn't matter what I did, that set point was staying. I didn't know it was called a set point then, but there's nothing I could do that would change that weight. Now I understand how it works. Like Dr. Woods said, I now actually feel empowered, not screwed. Exactly.
Once we understand our set point, we learn how we can manipulate it and we learn how we can make it work for us rather than against us. So let's talk about how we lower it. Let's just jump right in. But the short version is the higher the quality of our eating and the higher the quality of our exercise, the lower our set point. The reason for that, again, recapping last week, set point primarily determined by our genetics and our hormones. Can't change our genetics, can change our hormones. The way we do that is through diet and exercise. Quality, not about quantity. The short version. The long version, well, let's talk about some studies because I think they really make the point most clearly. Is that okay, Carrie?
I love studies.
Love studies.
Okay, well, I love your studies.
Love my study. Well, this study is one of my favorites, and it involves some of our furry friends, some rats.
That's a very cute rat you've got a picture of right
there.
Very,
very cute rat. And one of the reasons the study was done on rats is because, well, you'll see, it's not something you could actually do on humans. So anyway, let's dig right into it. This study was done at Georgetown University, and the study was really looking at what is it that changes the set point. And these researchers really tried everything, which is what makes this study cool. We're looking at rats, and the researchers divided normal adult rats into 3 groups. One group ate an unlimited amount of normal rat food. The second group ate an unlimited amount of low-quality food, so think, what we all think, crackers, cookies, things like that. And then the third group ate an unlimited amount of normal quality rat food plus a bitter substance called quinine. So again, remember, they're all eating an unlimited number of calories, but their quality is varying.
Okay.
Make sense so far?
Yep.
Okay, and let's also point out why it's interesting to do this study on rats. With rats, right, they're not trying to eat less, they're not trying to exercise more. Rats just do what naturally comes to them. This is interesting because imagine if we could just do what naturally comes to us and stay slim. So it's interesting to think about. Let's talk about the study. All right. So the normal group, again, they're normal, eating normal quality food, unlimited. They stayed at a normal weight. The rats who were eating an unlimited quantity of low-quality food, they gained weight, as the researchers expected, and the quinine group lost weight. So at this point, really nothing unexpected happened, nothing surprising yet.
Well, what's surprising is that the normal quality group had no restriction on the amount they could eat, but they stayed the same. They didn't get any bigger.
Actually, that's a fantastic point. I've never actually made that connection, Carrie, but you're right. The vast majority of animals are a perfect model for the set point because give them all the food they want, they're not going to eat until they explode. They naturally know when to stop, and we will too once we fix up our metabolisms. Okay, but now here's where the study gets interesting. So you've got your normal group weighing a normal amount, your low-quality group weighing a higher amount, and your quinine group weighing less. The researchers then starve the rats. Basically, they starve them. The rats then, because, again, they're starving, they are going to temporarily lose weight. It's temporary, though. They all lost about 10% of their body weight. Now, here's where the study gets really interesting, because what the researchers did, again, starved the rats. They all shrunk a little bit. They then gave the rats access back to their respective qualities of foods. Now, the normal group ate and ate and ate and ate until they reached precisely the normal weight they were before they were starved. The low-quality group ate and ate and ate and ate until they reached the heavier weight they were at before they were starved. And the quinine group ate and ate and ate, but until they reached that slimmer set point they were at before. So food quantity temporarily moved them away from their set point, but food quality is what determined the set point that they automatically targeted.
Got it. That's fascinating, actually, because we just don't look at food intake that way.
We don't really, and we always think in terms of quantity. That's really not the key. When we think about quality, quantity takes care of itself. So that looks at the quantity of food. But the researchers weren't done. They wanted to test this whole exercise more. What if we just exercise more? So they took all three groups of rats and did the best they could to make them exercise more. Again, they're rats, so they really couldn't get them gym memberships, but they could, and they did, put them in cold rooms so that the rats would sit there and shiver all day and burn a bunch of calories. Kind of like rat aerobics.
I've even tried that and it doesn't work.
A little cold. Yeah, actually, there are some people that recommend that. It's not a good idea. You'll develop a extra layer of subdermal fat to keep you warm. But anyway, don't use cold therapy to lose weight. It's not a good idea. Now, what's interesting, though, is that despite the fact that these rats were exercising more, all three groups ate more so that they would again maintain their lower, normal, or higher set point, respectively. Every single rat, in spite of exercising more, just ate more to maintain their respective set point weight, determined by the quality of their diet. Now, Carrie, last leg of the study. The researchers wanted to force the rats to eat more. So they actually hooked up stomach tubes to each of the rats and pumped them full of their normal, low-quality, or quinine food. Now, every single rat automatically adjusted the amount of food they consumed normally so that they would again maintain their normal, higher, or lower weight targeted by their set point. Even having food pumped into their stomach, again, they just automatically regulated to counteract that.
So given that rats are not worried about what they look like or peer pressure or
exactly
or
media exposure,
any of that, you're saying that this study shows that it was a biochemical, is that the right term, a physiological change that was forcing them to stay at their particular set point weight. There was nothing else that was doing that.
So yes, exactly. When we look at animal models like this, we can isolate these external factors. It would be nearly impossible. And anytime we do human studies, they're amazing, but we can never control them as much as we control animal studies. So summarizing this study, right, eating less didn't cause long-term weight loss. And that's what we're after, right? We're after long-term. The set point won out. They ate less, but then when they were given access to food, they just went back to their respective set points. Exercising more didn't cause long-term weight loss. They just ate more and the set point won out. And having additional calories pumped into their stomachs didn't cause long-term weight gain. The set point won out. The only thing impacting the rats' long-term weight was the quality of their calories, and that's because it changed their hormones, which changed their set point.
That's amazing.
The good news is that
we're not rats.
We're not rats. The second bit of good news is you're like, okay, so is the smarter science of Slim basically we use a bitter substance like quinine and just lace all our food with that and we drop our set point? No. It's really just about eating water, fiber, and protein-rich foods, natural foods, non-starchy vegetables, lean proteins, and natural fats. It's all kinds of good stuff. And we'll talk about that later. But the key thing to take away here is that quality is inversely related to our set point. So if the quality of our diet and exercise is low, our set point goes up. If it's high, our set point goes down.
The other thing, though, is that this proves, one, we can change our set points, but also that if we have a little hiccup, if we go on vacation and eat crap for a week, because that's what some people like to do on vacation, or don't exercise for a week, we may have minor changes in our fat, but as soon as we get back home and start doing normal things, our set point is going to take us straight back to wherever we'd set it at.
How much we eat and how much we exercise absolutely will cause a temporary change in weight. Just like, we can temporarily hold our breath, or we can temporarily hold our eyes open so we don't blink. But over the long term, our body will balance us out. The key is to lower that balance point. The second study I wanted to talk about is really kind of the rat equivalent of what you just talked about. Let's imagine we've got two groups of rats. Let's put one of them on vacation, per se. So this,
can I be that rat?
Yes, you can be that rat. So you be the vacation rat. So this study took place at St. George's Hospital Medical School, and there was two groups of rats. There was one who was eating regular rat food, and let's call the other group the vacationing rats.
Okay.
The vacationing rats ate really a low-quality diet that is pretty typical for most Western cultures, so a diet very high in starches and sweets. So for 16 days, the researchers let the normal rats eat as much as they want of normal natural rat food, and the vacation rats eat as much as they want of low-quality starches and sweets, American-type food. And the other thing to keep in mind about these rats is they were all little baby rats. So they're all going to be gaining weight, but the rate at which they gained weight varied dramatically. The rats who were eating the lower quality diet, or the vacation rats, gained much more weight than the other rats. But on the 17th day of the study, those rats, let's say they came back from vacation. The researchers switched them from that low-quality diet back to a natural rat diet. And I'll post this graph up on the website next to the show notes. But what Carrie and I are looking at here is those vacationing rats automatically, in about 8 or 9 days, just naturally weighed the exact same as the normal rats.
And again, because they're not people, they weren't trying.
Exactly.
That's a pretty amazing graph, actually. I wish you could. I'm glad you're going to post it up there, because that's a pretty compelling graph.
Yeah, they reached exactly the same point because, the rats fundamentally very similar genetically, and their hormonal makeup was changed by their diet quality. But then we normalize that, their weight normalizes itself.
So set point is really where it's at.
It's absolutely where it's at. If we want long-term health and fitness, the idea is not to fight against our body, because again, that's like trying to not sleep for a long period of time. It's not going to work. It will catch up to you. What we need to do is transform and re-enable our body's natural ability to keep us slim. And that's all about quality, not quantity.
So my new strategy should be lower my set point to wherever I want it to be, and then when I go on vacation, not worry about what I'm doing, because I know that when I come back, automatically, I'm going to just go straight back to that set point. Essentially,
yes. I mean, I would never recommend that anyone goes, to an all-inclusive resort and eats, drinks all the soda they could and eats all the donuts they can and the waffles and stuff, because when they come home, it'll all magically take care of itself. I mean, that going up and down in weight like that is obviously not good for your health. But the key point is absolutely right on, Carrie, and that's you do not have to be perfect day in and day out. The body will, any bumps in the road, the body will normalize over the long term. Think about it like that clogged sink, Carrie. A sink becomes clogged when you chronically put the wrong quality of stuff in it. However, if a few strands of hair fall in the sink every 3 weeks, it's not going to get clogged.
Right.
So again, and that's in sharp contrast, right, to calorie counting or exercising obsessively, where it's unless you do that all day, every day, precisely for the rest of your life. And to be clear, if you eat 1,000 calories every day for the rest of your life and exercise for 2 hours a day for the rest of your life, you will lose weight and keep it off. But the question is, can we realistically do that? Does it make for an enjoyable life? Does it harm our health? Well, it actually does. And there's just a healthier and safer and more practical way, and that's to change the set point.
Yeah, I'm never going to be signing up for 2 hours of exercise a day.
Well, not to mention the actual damage it does to our body. I mean, your joints, bouncing up and down and, running and things like that. It's not to say that they're terrible for you, but they're definitely not without their own side effects. Pick up any edition of Runner's World or any kind of magazine like that. There's always tens and tens of pages dedicated to how to deal with injuries. So again, let's avoid all that stuff. Let's work with the body. Let's not fight against it. And let's use science to do that. And that sort of segues us nicely into the second part. Let's step back from science for a second and let's move into philosophy a little bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about the 18th century German philosopher Immanuel Kant, shall we? And he proposed a very helpful theory when we talk about moral issues, but it's also surprisingly applicable when we talk about long-term health and fitness, which is what we're about here at Smarter Science Slim. Now, in terms of moral aspects, he said that we can tell whether an action is morally good or morally bad if it makes sense for everyone to do it all the time. For example, is it okay to lie? No, because if everyone lied all the time, well, then society would fall apart.
Right.
So that kind of makes sense. But let's think about that same logic. What if we did it, always and forever in terms of fat loss? So we see all these diet programs. Do this for 17 days, do this for 21 days, blah, 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 blah. But folks, we have to be able to do this always and forever. I mean, if we stop, if we're driving on the freeway and we take our foot off the accelerator, our car is going to decelerate. If we eat 1,200 calories a day, yeah, that might get us some great results, but can we really eat 1,200 calories always and forever? Can we channel Immanuel Kant and say, hold on, before I start any new eat less, exercise more routine, can I legitimately do this for the rest of my life? If the answer is no, we're actually going to do more harm than good if we started.
That's a really cool analogy. I like that. I'm going to have to think about that now.
The key thing there is, there's hopefully some goodness there in terms of, if you can't do it always and forever, don't do it because it's not going to work. But there's actually a deeper or more important point there. And it's not like, let's use the car analogy, right? You're driving your car, you take your foot off the accelerator, you decelerate. The way it actually works with your body is if you do eat less, exercise more programs and you don't keep that up for the rest of your life, which the vast majority of people will not because life is too complicated to spend your time counting calories and 2 hours a day in the gym. Not only will you decelerate, but your car will actually go in reverse. So when we eat less and exercise more, we're actually conditioning our body to gain weight and more weight than we lost in the long term. That's the whole yo-yoing problem.
And that's all you hear, isn't it? That, when diets fail is that people say, not only did I gain it all back, but then I gained some more. That's a common mistake.
That is a proven phenomena. Actually, in the next few podcasts, that's what we're going to talk about is why. If your choice is between just eating less, like tomorrow I'm just going to start eating less and doing nothing, the science unequivocally shows that it would be better for you to do nothing because the issue is not necessarily losing weight. Almost anyone you ask has probably successfully lost weight at some time in their life. The issue is keeping the weight off. And if we approach weight loss incorrectly, we will absolutely do more harm than good. Think about it like anything in life. If you take the wrong prescription, it's going to be much worse than if you took no prescription at all.
Right.
So the question is not like, oh, just do something. No, please don't you wouldn't just reach in the medicine cabinet and just take anything. Don't just do something, do the right thing. Because, for example, researcher Boyle in the American Journal of Physiology tells us that in rat studies, and we'll talk about human studies here coming up, as soon as rats stop eating less, in these studies, they gain weight, Carrie, get this, 20 times faster than a rat would until they return to at least their original weight. This is actually called, there's a technical term for it, it's called fat superaccumulation. Nobody wants to gain fat 20 times faster than normal. So please, before trying any diet or exercise program, be a philosopher, call on Immanuel Kant, and ask yourself, can I do this forever? If the answer is yes, do it. If the answer is no, skip it.
I'm going to have to rethink everything now.
And the good news is we're, again, all about practicality and permanence here. And that's why I'm so excited about what we call eating more but smarter and exercising less but smarter, because everyone can eat as much non-starchy vegetables, delicious lean protein, and natural fats. So we're talking any kind of leafy green, basically the vegetables you put in salads, cucumbers, mushrooms. Carrie, give me some more.
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes. More.
I had to say that because it was so British.
It was so British. Cucumbers, celery, all that kind of fun stuff. Protein, so any kind of seafood, chicken, organic grass-fed beef, pork, turkey, ham, all that kind of fun stuff. And natural fats, nuts, and seeds, and even certain kind of fruits such as berries and citrus fruits, and certain select dairy products like Greek yogurt or cottage cheese.
And eggs.
And eggs.
I love eggs.
I left off some eggs. And we can even use things like whey protein, which is a great convenient source of protein. All we have to do is truly eat so much of that we're completely satisfied, we're completely full, we're enjoying our life, we're enjoying food, and then do 10 to 20 minutes per week of eccentric training that is a new form of exercise that really helps our hormones. Carrie, we can all eat as much as we want, whenever we want, as long as it's in those food groups, and make 20 minutes a week for exercise. Like, we can do that forever.
Yep.
We absolutely can. And
although I think I should point out that this 10 to 20 minutes of exercise will nearly kill you. Especially if you're like me and you have arms that are about as strong as some wet pieces of spaghetti. But it is only 10 to 20 minutes, and then you don't have to do it again for another week. So, but I mean, let's not candy coat it too much. The exercise is hard.
Absolutely. It's not.
It's just not long.
It's just not long. And
Fast and furious.
Fast and furious. And in my experience, back in my personal trainer days, Carrie, there's no shortage of effort. Like, people, eating less and exercising more is hard as hell. And people do it and try it all the time. So I'm absolutely convinced that we can do just about anything for 20 minutes a week.
Yep.
But what we can't do is 2 hours a day, every single day. No. We also can't be hungry. Like, asking someone to be hungry for the rest of their life is just absurd. We can't maintain that. And same thing with eating more. It's not eat more starches and sweets, it's eat more high quality food.
One of the other things I like about the exercise is not only do you only have to do 20 minutes a week, but I find that when I do it properly, I get to the point, actually quicker than 20 minutes, where I actually cannot physically do any more. I have to stop because I'm either feel like I'm going to throw up or I literally cannot move anymore. So that's really cool.
It is. It is definitely, when it may sound a bit odd, but, well, and Carrie, tell me what you think here, but in some ways it's kind of an invigorating feeling because, I think all of us have had the experience of, let's get on the treadmill for 60 minutes. Are you kidding me? It's so, now they have treadmills with like freaking multimedia systems hooked up to them because it's so dang boring. Like, with this, it's just like, strap yourself in and get ready, folks, because like you're going to be focused, you're going to be fully engaged, and then you're done for a week.
Yes, and I must admit, I tried all sorts of things to get myself to cycle, like, read a book or, watched a movie, whatever, trying to keep me doing it because I had to do it for so long. But there's no way that you can do these exercises and concentrate on anything else at all. It's just like 10 minutes of absolute hell and then it's over.
Well, okay, let me bring it back to good news here. So that
is good news.
Another positive thing about it being shorter and you're focused is there's a lot less risk for injury. So we'll talk about these exercises in detail, but often when people get injured when they're exercising, it's because they're really not focused, right? I mean, you're just kind of running along and, there's a divot in the road. Oh, I tripped, I fell, I sprained my ankle. Or, because you're not really engaged. When we're focused on stuff, we're being deliberate, we're not injuring ourselves. That's also a very positive thing.
One of the things I also love is you can do it all at home too. So
yes.
You're not... you don't have to be almost passing out in front of other people. You're not doing the hot, sweaty, ugly thing running down the street. None of that. 10 minutes in your own house. It's all goodness.
And for those who do enjoy going to the gym, that is also possible. In fact, as you become, again, let's not sugarcoat things. I appreciate you for saying that earlier, Carrie. Again, it's not eat more of anything. It's eat more of basically everything except starches and sweets and things with processed garbage. But other than that, the sky's pretty much the limit. And it's also exercising less, but exercising with a level of safety and intensity that many people have never experienced. And again, circling back to the beginning of the episode, the higher the quality of our food, the higher the quality of our exercise, the lower our set point. So we need to continue to find ways to exercise with higher quality and eat with higher quality. And as we become stronger and as we continue down our exercise path, we will need to add resistance, and that may require going to a gym for some of us. For some of us, it may not. But for now, to get started, everything can be done at home. And if you are pretty advanced already, you can absolutely do this at the gym, but you don't have to.
That's awesome. I'm still at home because my arms are still as weak as wet spaghetti. But anyway, I'll get there.
And I wasn't really planning on talking about exercise too much in this episode, but while we're on the topic, Carrie, I know you may find this hard to believe. I find it hard to believe because I do not like exercising. I know you do not either, but there are some people who do enjoy exercising. Carrie is speechless. Carrie has no comment. So if you are an individual that enjoys exercising...
Get over it.
No. We talked about this before the show, Carrie. No, I'm just kidding.
There's other things you can do that are way more fun.
If you enjoy exercising because it's a hobby or it's fun for you, go ahead and do it. There's nothing wrong with that. But if that is your goal, if your goal of exercise is to have fun, there's certain kinds of exercises that are fun. Often those exercises are not effective at fat loss, but they are effective at being fun for certain individuals. The type of exercise we'll do here, high quality exercise, is not fun because its goal is not to be fun, but it gives dramatic and incredible hormonal results. So, it's if you like exercising because it's fun, keep it up and just add this. If you don't like exercising, that's great because you don't really need to, because this high quality training will help you more than low quality exercise ever could. And we will back that up with all kinds of data in later podcasts.
So this isn't just the only exercise you should be doing. This exercise is targeted at losing weight.
More specifically, it's targeted at lowering our set point,
okay,
which will enable our body to burn fat for us and not muscle, which is we do not want to burn muscle. And that's what we'll talk about in the next podcast, which is why we don't want to just eat less, because eating less burns everything. It doesn't just burn body fat, it does nothing about our set point. And actually, I think that's a good ending point, Carrie, because next week we'll just pick up with why eating less does not cause long-term fat loss. Does cause short-term weight loss, no question. We even saw that in today's studies. But we're not after short-term weight loss. We're after long-term fat loss.
Well, that episode flew by. We must be having way too much fun.
We're having way too much fun. Hopefully everyone else is having fun. Carrie, any closing statements?
I'm thrilled that I don't have to exercise much, and I'm really excited to hear the next bit of how we can permanently lower our set point.
Jonathan Bailor, Carrie Brown, living the smarter science of slim. Eat smarter, exercise smarter, live better. See you next week.